Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So Jeff Ulbrich had his OTA press conference yesterday, and let's face it, it is absolutely paramount that the Jets defense performs next season, right? They gotta look better. As we all know, it was the worst defense in all of football, 32 out of 32 last year. Couldn't stop the pass, couldn't stop the run. It was hard to watch, okay? If the Jets want to hang in and compete, fight against the opposition, the defense has gotta be able to perform. They gotta look a little bit better. Joe Douglas added tons of talent through free agency in the draft, and I am totally pumped to see what's in store for this Jets defense moving forward into the second year of the Robert Saleh era here, okay? But when we take a look at Ulbrich's press conference, and by the way, I'll leave it linked down below in the description box. I highly recommend it. I believe it was like 17, 18 minutes. It was a pretty good watch. He talked a lot about Sauce Gardner, right? Him just looking confident, having swag, him having that big body, but also the quick feet of maybe like a smaller corner. And he did stress that it was early in the process, but everything on the Sauce Gardner front looks awesome. He raved about Jordan Whitehead coming over from Tampa Bay, just pretty much saying he was as advertised. He heard nothing but great stuff coming from, his peers in Tampa Bay, that Jordan Whitehead was just the ultimate professional and just a great overall player. Okay, so he has been exactly what the Jets have hoped for defensively. Another guy, DJ Reed, the confidence level, him not really being the biggest guy in the world, but him being just an absolute dog at the cornerback position, and it just gets you fired up. Okay, it really does. But one thing that was a little controversial, right? There's some people that agree with it, there's some people that disagree with it, was this hard and fast rule, this defensive snap count that he mentioned multiple times throughout the press conference, where it was 30 to 35 defensive snaps for the trenches, right? For the defensive linemen here. And I think just instant first reaction, it's early, it's June, almost handcuffing ourselves to an idea this early in the process. I don't know. I just don't know how to kind of take that. Now, of course, the reasoning behind the 30 to 35 snaps, he referenced this numerous times. It's all about being explosive, limiting fatigue, getting fresh bodies in the trenches, fresh legs, always getting after the quarterback. If one guy's a little tired, bam, we have somebody else to step in and he can make a play as well. And I get it. I love rotation. It's a part of football. Doesn't matter if it's NFL, college, or high school. Guys get tired. Different players fit different situations depending on down, distance, who we're playing, everything like that. Offensive tendencies. Just so many things go into it. I am all for defensive line rotation, but I think the thing that I don't want to say doesn't sit well with me, because at the end of the day, Ulbrich knows the system way more than I do. He knows so much more about defensive football than I do. But I think the 30 to 35 number is just a little bit low for my personal liking. Okay, because we take a look across the NFL at, some other talented players like Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa. 30 to 35 snaps is like just over 50% if we're looking at the top end at 35. That's like half the game, right? So like roughly half the game. Maybe sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's a little bit more, but that's really the goal with the 30 to 35 snaps. We could list off other players as well, like DeForest Buckner played a ton for the Indianapolis Colts, way above the 30 to 35 snaps per game, way above 50%, of the defensive snaps, right? Buckner played a lot of football. Leonard Williams is another guy that we could take a look at, right? A guy, obviously former first round pick by the Jets, now with the Giants, high upside. He's out there a lot of the time. Who else? Fletcher Cox, Hargrave from the Philadelphia Eagles. I want the Jets to be in a position to where we have our talent when in critical situations. So like that third down, that 3rd and 6, we need to stop. I don't want to be in a situation where we're questioning pitch count. There's so much happening in the midst of a NFL game. I don't want to be in a situation where we're almost counting defensive snaps. I get the explosion. I get wanting to have fresh bodies in there at all times. And look, I think if the Jets had an absolutely stacked defensive line, I could maybe get behind the 30 to 35 snaps, but a lot of these guys, Quinnen Williams specifically, I would like to see Quinnen Williams out there more than what he showed last year, especially with the loss of Fadakasi. Solomon Thomas was also a guy that Jeff Ulbrich mentioned that he's excited about, and I am too, another former high first-round pick. But again, just going back to that 30 to 35 number, I think for me it's just a bit too low. And also it begs the question moving forward, if that's the goal, if that's the structure for the defensive scheme, like long term here, so not just for this upcoming season, but for 2023, 2024, and so on, it doesn't really make a ton of sense to hand out a massive contract to Quinnen Williams, right? Let's just ballpark and say he asked for $16 million, $17 million a season. I think that's maybe going to 15 to 20 million. I think that's really going to be the range where what Quinnen Williams could be possibly asking for. Is it worth it, to pay that much money to a guy and he's only out there roughly 50% of the time? I don't know. Is it worth it for another free agent to trade for a guy, to take on a lot of salary? I think when we start getting into the financials and almost looking at just the pure numbers, it just, do you feel comfortable paying $15 million to a player that's only out there, let's just say 55% of the time? And look, the numbers aren't set in stone. There's no law. There's no weird rule that's saying that the Jets have got to play Quinnen Williams only 50% of the time. No, things can change, obviously, but I did find it, a little, not necessarily, I was more so taken aback by just the 35 to 35 snap count for the defensive line. It just kind of seemed like a baseline, and I just think for me, I would like to see the top end talent out there a little bit more than being capped at just 35 snaps per game. But at the end of the day, I'm not out there. I'm not a part. I'm not a part of the Jets coaching staff. I don't have the experience that Saleh and Ulbrich have in this style of defense. I wish I did. That'd be awesome, but I don't. Okay, so again, I think for me, the bottom line is, it's June, it's early, I don't want to read too much into it, it's just one press conference, but at the same time, I don't want to be handcuffed to an idea. In June, I don't want to base all of our decisions, all of our defensive line decisions on this 30 to 35 snap count, pitch count type of idea. But again, that's just my take. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I cannot wait to dive in and see where you guys stand on this. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. It means a lot. It really, really does. And as always, go Jets.